So let's go with this. This was pretty amusing on Fox and Friends. How are they going to deal with the reports out? I mean, look, we know the initial reports in terms of the Republican tax scam, wherein they basically just gave wealthy people a huge bonus in terms of tax cuts. There was massive tax cuts for offshored profits. That money came back, and of course it went into the hands of shareholders. We know that 84% of stocks are owned by 10% of the country's population. Despite the fact that Charlie Kirk would have you believe otherwise, I actually recently contacted the author of that study, and he says it has nothing to do except for households. So, but that's for another day. So Fox and Friends, like it was definitely very petty of me to do it. Fox and Friends tried to deal with what a lot of people are finding out is that they did not get their tax returns, or they did not get a tax refund that they had anticipated. And they're trying to slough it off. And then they move into the territory where state and local taxes are no longer fully deductible, which was intended to put pressure on blue states that actually collect taxes from its inhabitants to provide them with services. And here's how that went.
Well, taxpayers are complaining as the average tax refund drops an average 8% from last year. But are you actually making less money?
Here to break it all down for you and what it means for your wallet, Charles Payne, host of Making Money with Charles Payne on the Fox Business Network. So, Charles, people look forward to their tax refund.
I've never seen his show. His whole show is about basically just come up with some type of just pick up an ability to recite right-wing talking points, and that's how you can make money. Is that more or less what the? It's like one of those. When I was a kid, like you could find in like comic books, like you can make money selling money-making secrets, and you would buy it, and it would be basically telling you just to do what they just did to you.
Yeah, only this one you actually do make money.
Oh, here we go.
I know. And getting back the money that they overpaid to the federal government.
Exactly. Here's the thing is, for the most part, the IRS is telling everyone that they just simply did not make the proper adjustments on their withholdings at the beginning of the year. So they've been making all of this money.
It's an IRS mistake.
Well, it's not necessarily their mistake. It's your employer or you. IRS actually put a lot of memos out. They even made it pretty easy to go on their website and figure it out. This is at the beginning of last year. Mm-hmm. Of course, most people didn't do that. So while people were obviously seeing fatter paychecks, they were still counting on that refund that they always got, which is interesting because you kind of hinted at it, that we would allow, the IRS to have like a $2,000 loan, our money, right? Hold on to it. Yeah, because we overpay. So people probably should consider making these adjustments anyway, unless you want to give the IRS $2 or $3 grand of your money to hold for a year. Maybe they can make the interest on it and you won't.
But here's the problem. There's certain things that have gone forever, and that is in these blue states, in Illinois, in New York, as well as Los Angeles, New Jersey, still Los Angeles, as well as California, you can no longer write off state and local taxes.
Well, there's limits, right? With the SALT, the
10,000.
Yeah, right.
So that's gone.
That's gone. That's gone. And a lot of these states are complaining. And listen,
that's why Governor Cuomo was meeting with the president yesterday.
That's why he was meeting with the president. But, these states have put themselves in a bad predicament because they have taxed their residents. They've created these obligations. They've made these promises. And they need to find out some of the taxes that they can probably address rather than, going back to.
Incidentally, those promises are things like health care, or decent education, or good roads.
Public transportation.
Maybe food support, Medicaid support, promises like that.
Continue. Government and asking someone in Mississippi, to subsidize a millionaire in New York City's to subsidize their mortgage. It's ridiculous.
New York State should run more like Texas or run more like Florida.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, that brings up a good point about subsidizing people across state lines. Can we bring up that chart on just who are the 5 least dependent states? Ducey mentioned New Jersey. New Jerseyans receive only 0.48 cents back for every dollar they pay in income tax. Delaware, Illinois, mentioned also by Ducey. Minnesota, Kansas, New Mexico. Here we go. These are the least dependent on the 5 most dependent states would be New Mexico, Mississippi, Kentucky, Alabama. Didn't that guy actually say Mississippi? And Montana. The least dependent would be New Jersey, Delaware, Illinois, Minnesota, and Kansas. There you go. What's surprising about Kansas?
Kansas surprises me.
Oh, this is 2015 that I'm looking at. That's part of the problem. I have a feeling Kansas has moved on down the list quite a bit.
Hard to imagine.
But there you go. That's absurd. And the idea that New York doesn't put back into the federal government more than it takes out. And so it's not really subsidizing across state lines. It really is just a question of we have local services subsidizing billionaires' tax cuts and corporate tax cuts. That's basically what it comes down to.